All right, what is up? I'm excited because there comes a moment when sometimes you literally need a coach to give you some insight that you never thought you needed. This video is going to touch on what a particular coach kind of fed into me and many thousands of other people that are peers of mine. But more importantly, can I just give you a couple takeaways on the importance of what it means to be we and me? Let's go. All right, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Noan El Boricua, and I am your host here on Fuel Pasión Podcast. As always, gracias for watching, or if you're listening to us via podcast, we want to say thank you so much. And really quick as a plug, if you enjoy these videos and you want to be a part of the growth that we're doing here at Fuel Pasión Podcast, like and subscribe, share it with someone. I hope this can be a blessing for some of you today. But I just want to get into this. As always, we're about immersing ourselves in cultura, growing in our faith, and making those conexiones. So today I want to talk about cultura. I want to talk about what it is to have a winning mindset and having a coach, a leader that's in front of you and willing to invest, but push you and really get you to that next level. But at the same time, understanding that your feedback as well is just as vital as the coach that is giving you this feedback. So I wanted to take a moment to be able to reflect on something that I got to hear from none other than, if I'm correct, he is the winningest. Wow, is that a word? But he has the most wins as the LA head coach of the Rams here locally to LA, and is none other than Coach Sean McVay. And there was something that really stayed with me. And I think the reason why it stayed with me, it wasn't really because of the football and him winning the Super Bowl and everything that he's doing here locally in LA. But yeah, he is a Super Bowl winning coach. Yes, for those that don't know, he's had success at a very young age, and he's had some great, incredible talent and just teams around him. But I think when I got to sit in this meeting as a special guest of him, showing up, there was something that really resonated with me that was not just about winning or anything that was really related to work, even though it was, but I don't know, it was something how he talked about people. And it was about how he even touched on adversity. And then he talked about culture, but then he talked about this whole we before me. And it's an acronym, which I'll get to. So hold on till the end, because this is going to get really good. So I'm going to try to give a synopsis of what I learned from him. I was on my phone. There was a couple times that I saw him looking. I don't know if he was looking at me or if, if you've ever been a guest speaker, you kind of have a blank look at someone. Maybe that's your point person that you feel better. But there was a moment that I'm like texting, and I'm kind of nodding, and I looked up and I see Coach looking at me like he was about to put me in. Let's go. All right. So when that phrase that he hit, and I think this is something he's hit on quite a few times in different interviews, but this idea of like we before me, and that stood out. Because if you think about it, we live in a world right now that really pushes me a lot. My goals, my platform, my success, my opportunity, my recognition, my next move. And listen, look, I believe that we should grow. I believe that we should dream big. I believe that, yes, work hard for what you're getting after. And I believe that we should also steward the gifts that God has given us. But when Coach McVay reminded me of is really that great leadership is never about the individual. It's about the people. It's about the team. It's about what we are building together. Can you relate? Are you a leader? Or you're aspiring to be a leader? Like, does this resonate with you? Because I think a lot of us that are working professionally, or maybe you're still in school, in college, or maybe you're just already doing what you're doing, right? I hope we understand that, like, it is about the people. It is about the team. And that challenged me. Because at the end of the day, whether you're leading at work or you serve locally in a community, a church, you're raising a family, you're coaching students, you're mentoring young people, maybe you're a content creator, or maybe you're just trying to be like faithful in the season that you're in. The question is not just, hey, how am I doing? The deeper question is, how am I showing up for the people around me, a mi alrededor? How am I showing up for them? Because when I think about it, one of the things that stood out is that he spoke on this word about adversity. And he said that there's no good story without some adversity. And yo, acuerdo, agree. Because everybody, they love a comeback story. Everybody loves a highlight. Everybody loves a celebration. But what most of us do not love is that setback. We don't love that quiet season that we're in where we're trying to figure it out. We don't love the moment where things are not, going according to plan that we thought was going to work out. We don't love the year that, where you feel like you're taking loss after loss even though you're still trying to do the right thing. But here's a question that I was like reflecting when I had a chance to like download this. What if the setback is not the end of the story? What if the setback is shaping something in you and in me? What if the challenge is revealing what still needs to grow? What if adversity is not there to destroy you, but as Coach McVay says, like it grows you, it develops you, right? And that hit me because I have lived enough life now to know that some of the seasons that taught me the most were not the easiest seasons. Can you relate? Because some of the seasons that built my character were the seasons, if you were to ask me, I wouldn't even choose them like in my highlight reel. Some of the seasons that helped me grow as a leader, as a husband, as a father, as a leader, as a recruiter, as a friend, as a man of faith, were the seasons where I had to sit with myself and I had to ask these questions. Who am I becoming in this moment? Not just what am I producing, not just what I'm accomplishing, but who am I becoming? And I would actually ask that in prayer, like, God, who am I becoming? Because adversity has a way of revealing what really está dentro de nosotros, what's inside of us. It reveals our patience, it reveals our pride. It reveals our insecurities. It reveals our motives. It reveals whether we are leading from purpose or we're just reacting from the pressure. And that leads me to something else that Coach McVay said that really stood out. And I wouldn't look, sharing is caring. And I don't know if he got it from someone, but man, when he said this, I was like, whoo. He says, before you correct, you need to conectar. You need to connect. That is leadership. That is mentoring. That is parenting. That is coaching. That is community. Because people do not want to just be managed. People want to be seen. People want to know that they matter beyond what they produce. People want to know that you care about them and not just the role that they play on the team. And I think that's something that we all have to be reminded of. Uh, sometimes we can be so focused, on the outcome that we actually forget the people. We forget the person. We can become so focused on that goal that we miss el corazón. We miss the heart. And I have learned from that. I am grateful for that reminder. And I hope you are too. Because if I'm being honest, I'm still learning from that. Look, leadership is not just, having the answer. Leadership is not just, being the loudest voice in the room. Leadership is not just about having a title. Leadership, I know you guys know this, man. Leadership is about how we see people. It's how we value them. It's how we challenge our people. And really the call of people, right? And when you call them up without having to tear them down. And I think for me, that phrase right there, like calling people up, not just calling people out. Yo, coach, I appreciate you for that because there is a difference. Calling someone out can expose what is wrong, but calling someone up reminds them of who they can become. And I think that great leaders do both con sabiduría, with wisdom. They tell the truth, but they tell it with love. They bring correction, but they do it in a form of leadership. They hold the standard, like there's a standard, but they also help people believe that they can rise to it. Man, yo, coach, I'm telling you, I don't know where I think my phone's over there. I was literally doing this and I felt bad because, again, you look up and yo, coach is looking at me, but I'm taking my notes, coach. And then, and then he gets to this moment. the we and me. He said the we is about acronym. The we is about work and environment. The work matters, W. Okay. He shared that there's no substitute, right, for showing up. There's no substitute for like putting in the reps. And I think that's a word for somebody today, because there is no substitute for being faithful in the little things. We always think about the big moments. What about the little things, right? Everybody wants a platform, but not everybody wants the process. Everybody wants opportunity, but not everybody wants to have the preparation. And clearly as a coach in the game and even in sport, like everybody wants to win, right? But not everybody wants to work, right? The work that happens when nobody is cheering for you. So the work still matters. The unseen work matters. The early mornings matter. The late nights matter. The conversations, some of those really, really matter. And the consistency matters. The way you show up when nobody is watching, that still matters. And then we get the other part that coach says, right? Of we. And the letter E is enjoyment. I was like, huh, work hard, put in the work, you know, but enjoyment. And he goes into this where like sometimes we can be doing good work, but then we lost the joy. Side note, man, I've been doing this Bible study with my students about the letters of the church in the book of Revelation. And one of the letters was talking about, but you lost your joy, you lost your first love. Man, resonated, right? So here we are serving, but we are tired. We are leading, but we are frustrated. We are working hard, but we are not enjoying the journey. Meaning, like, we are so focused on what is next that we miss what God está haciendo ahorita, what God is doing right now. So, Coach McVay, he talked about enjoying the challenge, enjoy the success of others. Video for another day, right? Enjoying the process of growing and pursuing mastery. Video for another day. Like, these were all great reminders. And I guess I asked the question, like, can we still enjoy the journey while we are being stretched? Hmm. Can we celebrate other people when they win? Can we find joy in being part of something bigger than ourselves? Because that is what we looks like. Look, coach goes into it again for the sake of time, right? I look at it like this. Like we says, I'm not just here for me. Your win does not threaten me. We says that I have a role to play and I'm gonna play it with excellence. And we says that we are better when we build together. But then there's me. And he said, starting with the letter M, when we think of the word me for coach, M is for the mindset and E is for the energy. Y eso para mí fue personal. That was personal because mindset is what is happening inside of me. Like what am I telling myself when things get hard? What story am I believing when I face disappointment? What am I allowing to lead me when I feel that pressure? Am I leading from fear? Am I leading from, comparison, or am I leading from insecurity? Yo, man, that's a real thing. Or am I leading from purpose, from gratitude, from courage, from faith? That matters. Because sometimes the biggest battle is not what is happening around us. It's the conversation that is happening within us. Whew, man, this for me was something that was so personal because, you know, like let me just get into this. There's a question that I tend to ask myself, and maybe you can ask this too. Is that what is the inner dialogue? My inner dialogue producing, right? Is it producing faith or fear? Is it producing bitterness or gratitude? Is it producing courage or excuses? Is it producing growth or just survival? Because how we talk to ourselves affects how we show up for others. You know what I'm talking about? Because then there's that energy. And this is really the one that stayed with me. Look, because energy is not just, I'm laughing because I know, look, I know I get excited. I know I can talk fast. But energy is not about just being loud. Energy is not just about being hype. Energy is not just about being the person who walks into the room with this like big personality. what it reminds me, and this is why it was a great reminder, energy is attention. Energy is presence. Energy is something that Coach McVay said is a vibe. Like, it is what people feel when you walk into this room. And so I asked myself, when I wrote this in my phone, like, what do people feel when I show up? Real question. Like, do they feel encouraged? Do they feel seen? Do they feel valued? Like, what do they feel when I show up? Like, do they feel that I'm present, or do they feel my stress? Do they feel my frustration, my distraction, or my hurry? Because we all bring something into a room. Name the room: work, home, a church, a community center, a sports team, your friends, your spouse, your children. These are all rooms that we walk into. What are we bringing into these rooms? Like is the energy we bring helping the room, or is it hurting the room? Because coach talked about um mm, coach talked about a thermostat. Like, be man, I somebody correct me. I'm trying to remember. He talked about like the thermos, like being the thermostat and not the temperature. Okay, not the temperature. That's like, or I'm sorry. Yeah, temperature or no. Coach talked about being the thermostat, not the thermometer. Yeah, the thermometer. Oh yeah, that's leadership. Because the way that I thought about it was that a thermometer just reacts to the temperature. So if things are good, it goes up. If things go bad, they go down. But a thermostat, yeah, it was a thermostat, helps set the temperature. Whoo, coach, what we talking about? Because that's the challenge. Like, can we become people who do not just react to the circumstances around us? Because that's something that I had to learn a long time ago when I became a professional. Right? Can we become people who help set the tone? Can we walk into difficult spaces, and can we bring peace? Man. Like, can we walk, into a stressful space, and can we bring clarity? Can we walk into our teams and bring courage? Can we walk into our homes and bring love? Can we walk into our communities and bring purpose? Like, because the standard is not just upheld by these perfect circumstances. No, 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 no. The standard is upheld by the people. The people who chose to show up, the people who chose to care, the people who chose to work, the people who chose to grow, people who chose to bring that right energy even when life is not perfect. Let me give you I got to give you this quick example about showing up with the right energy. A while back, we had a store opening in the city of Watts, and two of my peers. I had a really bad morning. There was a car accident where it almost involved me, and it threw my energy off. Right, it was like I was listening to some music. The coffee that I had ended up spilling in my car because of the. Well, there wasn't an accident, but I avoided the accident. But it threw me off. It was something that made me late, and I don't like to show up late to work. So when I walk in without not even saying a word. Okay. And this is where I want to challenge you. Okay. I walk in and my two peers were like, "Ooh, what's this energy you got, Noan?" I didn't even say a word. I didn't even say a word. And I had to tell them, well, there was a car accident and my coffee spilled and I got really scared. And you know what I loved about it? They were like, "What can we do to help?" Look, how are you showing up right now, ladies and gentlemen? Not just when things are going well, not just when you're being celebrated, or when your name is being called, not just when everything is favoring you. Like, I want to know, how are you showing up right now when there are challenges or these unforeseen circumstances? Because that is key of the energy that we bring to our teams and to our peers in order to get after that win. But I want a side note there. How are you showing up for yourself? Because sometimes I'm talking to you. Look, I'm one of them. I'm talking to my leaders out there. I'm talking to those that are really good friends. Some of us, sometimes we pour, man, we pour into everybody else. but we ignore what is happening inside of us. Sometimes we are trying to lead others, but we have not slowed down enough to be able to check our own mindset. Sometimes we bring energy into the room, but we have not asked whether that energy is coming from a healthy place. Hence my example of Watts. So here's that challenge, right? That I just want to leave with you. And I think this is a good challenge. And I hope if you're watched it this long, man, I am so grateful because this is my call to action and my challenge to each and every one of us about how we show up. For this week, or maybe for the season that you're in, I'm going to have you ask 4 questions. Okay, number 1, am I doing the work? Not just talking about it, not just dreaming about it, not just posting about it. Like, am I doing the work that the season requires right now? Number 2, am I enjoying the journey? Am I finding gratitude in the process? Am I celebrating others? Am I paying attention to the blessings that are already around me, right? Valid question. Number 3, what is my mindset right now? What am I telling myself? What am I believing about this season? Am I letting fear lead me, or am I choosing faith, courage, and purpose? And lastly, la última, número 4, what energy am I bringing? That when I walk into the room, when I join the meeting, when I, come home, when I text someone, when I serve or when I lead, what am I bringing with me? Because we before me does not mean me does not matter. It means that me has to be healthy, humble enough, grounded enough, all that to be able to contribute to we. That's leadership. Eso es cultura. That's community. Es familia. It's faith in action. And for me, when I was listening to Coach McVay, and this is a while back, man, I just wrote this down and, for the sake of just business of the world right now or work, Coach reminded me that leadership is not just about winning. Oh, all right. And for me, listening to Coach reminded me that leadership is not just about winning. It's about the people, about presence, about growth, a ton of things that he said. Okay. It's also about protecting your mindset. That's something that I thought about. It's about bringing energy that helps others rise. And look, I know there's more that I can put out there, but these are the things that really got me thinking to understand this conversation that was so great. So to close it out, wherever you are today, whatever team you're a part of, whatever season you're navigating, recuerda esto, remember this. Your story can still be good even with adversity. Your setback can still become a part of your comeback. Your role, no matter how big or small it is, it matters. Your presence still matters. Your energy still matters. And the way that you show up can help someone else believe that they can keep going too. This is Feel Pasión Podcast. It's about cultura, faith, conexiones. It's about dreaming big. It's about doing the work. It's about showing up con propósito, with purpose. And look, keep fueling your passion. Look, God has called you to do some great things. God has given you a purpose. God has given you some gifts. God has given you some talents. What are you doing to fuel them? What are you doing to refine them? Remember, the we and the me. But the other thing here is understanding our Creator. And for me, our Creator, God, has given us some great things. And my hope is that you understand how to navigate those. As always, thank you so much for checking this video out. Head on over to feelpasionpodcast.com for all the other videos that we've had. Y más que todo, remember, immerse yourself always in cultura, grow in faith, and make those conexiones, right? The connections that we need. Pero más que todo, como dice mi abuelita, que Dios te bendiga.